Hey everybody, it's Friday, June 23rd, 2023. Emily and I have been home from Indiana for about 5 days now. I've been doing a lot of the storm cleanup. Emily's been helping when she's not working. So we've got it pretty well cleaned up. All the couple trees that did fall, they're little pine trees, but mainly some limbs, and they're quite large limbs. But we got that all cleaned up. But the other thing, before we left for Indiana, it was bone dry out here. We really needed rain. Part of my day was, dragging garden hoses around to try to get the grass seed to start to grow. So that's what I did before we left, and that's how dry it was. Talking to Wes last night, he's got a buddy that has a rain gauge, and his buddy that lives, I guess, in this area said they've got about 14 inches of rain in the past week. Last night, I have no idea how much rain that we got, but Emily and I both woke up about 2 in the morning to the thunder and lightning and the amount of rain that was falling. Point to all this is the pond's now overflowing. We knew this was eventually going to happen, especially if we had any kind of tropical storm, due to the water level even before we left. But this pond's probably gone up about 4 to 5 inches since we left from Indiana. So in about 12 days, it's gone up 4 or 5 inches. You can see it's now overflowing and it's running that way. Now, due to the contour of our land, this is all the low side, and everything behind us, the neighbor's property, is all a flood zone. So I think we did pretty good. This is all high ground up here where we're building. It's high ground up there where the house is going to be. But this is obviously the low spot of the property and the low spot of the pond. So eventually I'll probably have to put a spillway in here, which I have no idea how to do it. But thanks to the miracle of YouTube, I'll probably be able to figure it out. But we are going to have to wait till the water level goes down before we even attempt to put in the spillway. And it'll probably just be some kind of pipe. If you guys remember, if you've watched the old videos, you probably saw where there was, the water level was extremely low and there were almost little islands of mud out there because the water was that low. If you go to Google Earth, if you know where the property's at, you can see images from Google Earth of the machinery that was digging the pond about 18 months ago, maybe 2 years ago at the most. But everybody told us they started in January of it would have been 2021, I guess, 2022. But either way, you can see the images. And the way it worked is, I grew up in Indiana, so we had rock quarries. So you would dig a hole, that hole would fill up with water. So you dig a deeper hole so that water flowed into the deeper hole. And that deepest point, you always had a pump pumping it out. So I don't know how they did this, but there's definitely levels of how deep this is. And those little islands that you see stick up there when the water is really low is just the little walls between the deeper areas where they dug. So, and then eventually once they gave up, they let Mother Nature kind of run its course, and whatever washed in and filled in. But we've never really got a good judge or gauge on how deep this pond is. But obviously this is at its highest point. Moving up this way, that's where we were at, where the pond is overflowing. This storm ditch is still working like a champ. Got our bald cypress there, and the falling waters bald cypress up there, a couple other small ones. But this water coming into the pond, that's where the highest point over on this side is. So if you look around the pond, it's really not bad, and you can see that, our low spot is obviously right there because that's where the water's going over. Common sense, that should be. Anyways, this is working good. Coming over here to my newest culvert. This guy's going great. The water's going off into that area where it needs to go. That's also the wetlands area. So again, anything you see around here is pretty much all wetland area when we had this delineated. this area technically, I guess, was not wetlands. Or at least they said it wasn't, based on, you know, the vegetation. But either way, the house is going up over here with the driveway. This culvert's doing really well. Again, it wasn't a large amount of water coming through here. It was just that the water was staying in a big divot over here. So trying to get the water to go under the driveway versus over the driveway. Hopefully this dries out and I can get Ed Barber out here to get some gravel or crushed up concrete to start forming the driveway out here at Deer Run Farm.